Hey, what's up YouTube? Donovan the Smartphone Guy coming back at you with another video, and tonight we're going to take a look at two devices that are both flagship devices, and that is the Xiaomi Mi 6, and I'm going to compare that to the Samsung Galaxy S8. In this video, I want to title this 6 ways that the Xiaomi Mi 6 beats the S8. Now with that being said, I'm also going to talk about why the S8 beats the Mi 6, but I want to start out first of all with ways in which the Mi 6 is greater than the Samsung Galaxy S8. So we're going to give you 6 ways. So the first one is in the price. So the price here is a pretty obvious difference. We have the Mi 6, which you can pick up right now using a coupon code down in the description for $430. Now the regular price of this device is usually around $480. Whoops. And so even then, that's still significantly cheaper than the $750 that I paid for the Samsung Galaxy S8. Now, you can't get this one on payment plans like you can with the S8, so that's definitely a negative there. But $480 at full price or $430, like I said, with a coupon code versus $750, a clear win for the Mi 6. So that's number one. Price definitely is a win for the Mi 6. So the second reason is battery. So 3,350 milliamp hour battery for the Mi 6 versus 3,000 milliamp hour battery. So one of the things that people complained about when the S8 came out, and that is the battery size. So 3,000 milliamp hour battery on a 2K display with a 5.8 inch display. Some people say, well, that's not going to give us good enough battery. Well, this device does actually get pretty good battery. I'm getting anywhere from 5 to 6 hours of screen on time. I've seen people post videos or even pictures of significantly better than what I get. But in my usage, where I'm using two devices side by side, this one gets better battery life, and I'm looking at close to 6, maybe 7 hours of battery life on a good day. So in comparison, this one has 350 milliamp hours more for battery, and I'm getting about an hour more of screen on time. Either way, both devices have very good battery life, and I get both get me through a day, but this one just gets me through more screen on time. So the win here goes to the Mi 6 once again. The third thing that I want to talk about, so that's number 2, is battery life. Number 3 is the speakers. So one thing that I think a lot of people like and want to see on just about every phone, if possible, is dual speakers. Well, the Mi 6 delivers dual speakers. We have a single speaker up here and another bottom firing speaker down here. And they get quite loud and they're quite clear. Now, they are a bit tinny, but I haven't really had a cell phone other than maybe the Axon 7 where I wouldn't say that was the case. Here, we have just a single bottom firing speaker. Now it gets relatively loud. It's not the loudest, certainly not the best bottom firing speaker, but it's also not terrible. But with that being said, there is no doubt that the Mi 6 is both louder and dual firing. So that is another win for the Mi 6. That's number 3. The fourth thing I want to talk about is the fingerprint sensor. Now this one's probably an obvious one because a lot of people complain about the S8 fingerprint sensor. Now I will say this. For me, after 2 or 3 days of use, that fingerprint sensor works great, and it's easy to find, especially if you have a case. If you don't have a case, it's still really hard to find. But if you have a case on your phone like I do, the fingerprint sensor becomes much easier to find. But with that being said, it's still in an awkward location regardless. Here we have a, sorry, clear my throat there. So we have a fingerprint sensor right there in the front. It also doubles as the home button, kind of similar to like the old Samsung phones. And it is probably the best fingerprint sensor I've ever used. The only other devices that I can think of that have as good of a fingerprint sensor would be Huawei's phones. But other than that, this one is the best. It is very fast and extremely accurate. So, I mean, just watch, I barely tap it, and it is money. So clearly, there's no doubt that not only is it in a better location, but it's also faster. Now, this fingerprint sensor works just fine. It's just that it's in a weird location. Next thing I want to talk about, and this one's probably a more nuanced kind of thing, and that is the the RAM. So this one has 6 gigs of RAM. This one has, well, it's not up here, but it has 4 gigs of RAM. Now, is that something you're going to really notice in day-to-day? No. Both of these have excellent performance. On paper, the Mi 6 beats the S8 in performance based on like Antutu and Geekbench scores. But in day-to-day usage, you're probably not going to notice a difference, at least just in my day-to-day usage. I don't see a difference. Both of these perform phenomenally well. I don't really get slowdowns. Apps load pretty much equally as fast on both of these phones. So that is not something that I say is like a huge difference, but you know, more is better, I guess, right? So 6 gigs of RAM versus 4, still give the win to the Mi 6. And so that's the fifth one. Number 6, and this one's probably also more, you know, a little bit nuanced, but on the S8, we have one 12 megapixel camera. On the Mi 6, we have two 12 megapixel cameras. So which one's better? Well, it depends on what you want. If you want better low light pictures, then I would say the S8. If you want better options with the pictures, I would say probably the Mi 6. And what I mean by that is here we have a camera that can zoom in without loss of quality. So that would be one thing. We do also have portrait mode, which kind of gives you like a DSLR situation where you can take pictures that blur out the background. Now, the Samsung Galaxy S8 kind of already does that on its own with the 1.7 aperture. This one, by the way, has a 1.8 aperture. So they kind of already do that on their own without portrait mode, but this one does have it available where this one doesn't. So, you know, probably the win maybe goes to the Mi 6 on that one, but we'll talk about that more now when we talk about how the S8 beats the Mi 6. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So first way that I would say the S8 beats the Mi 6 is this one's IP68 waterproof. You could literally take this underwater with you. I don't know who does that, and it's probably not a super useful feature, but it's available and it's there. So that would be one thing. Over here, we just have water resistance, splash proof, but not waterproof, because this charging port down here is not fully waterproof. And so that would be, you know, obviously if you drop this one in water, you could be in trouble. You drop this one in water, you're gonna be just fine. This one gets splashed by water, it's gonna be fine, same thing here. But, you know, you have that insurance here with the S8 that if you drop it in water, it will be just fine. Number 2, and this one really depends on where you live. If you live in the US, you're gonna get LTE with this one on any carrier. Over here, of course, it's only GSM unlocked. So T-Mobile, AT&T, Cricket, Metro PCS, you'll get coverage, but you're only going to get HSPA+. Outside of the US, in Canada, Mexico, Europe, wherever, you're probably going to get LTE, but not in the US. So that win obviously has to go to the S8 there. So if you live in the US, obviously the Mi 6 might not be the best option. Number 3, the third reason why the S8 beats the Mi 6 would be, of course, the display. I mean, without a doubt, Samsung still has the best displays. This one is 2K, which out of the box it ships at 1080p, but you can, of course, change that to 2K. This one only has a 1080p screen, and it doesn't have the beautiful AMOLED display as the Samsung. So without a doubt, that 5.8-inch display versus a 5.15-inch display, that win easily has to go to the S8. So we've kind of talked about two wins there. So we have the Infinity display, and we also have the AMOLED display. And then the other big thing would probably be the camera. So another way that the S8 beats the Mi 6, even though I kind of said dual cameras versus single camera, the Samsung Galaxy S8 still takes better still photos. There's no doubt about that. The Mi 6, I think Xiaomi is definitely catching up in that regard, but the S8 still probably takes better pictures. Now, like I said, Xiaomi is definitely catching up in that regard, but I think the S8 still takes the win there. So with that being said, you know, which is the better device? All I've got to say is that I know that the day that Xiaomi comes to the US with full LTE coverage, think will be a very happy day for a lot of people because they make such affordable devices. You know, at less than $500 for a very high-end flagship device, similar to like OnePlus. I think the days of me buying a $750 phone might be out the door. I don't know. You know, as a reviewer, I probably will continue to buy Samsung phones just because I like to review them. But with that being said, you know, I would much rather, as an average consumer, buy a phone that does just as much, if not, you know, sometimes in some cases more than what the S8 does, and I can spend $250 less on this device versus this one. So, which one takes the win? Well, I give the win to the Mi 6 personally. Now, because I live in the US, I kind of have to use this phone because HSPA Plus in some areas just doesn't have very good coverage. If it had full LTE coverage, there's no doubt that I'd rather have this device. But because I live in the US, I have to go with something like the G6, something like this phone. OnePlus, you know, soon will come out with the OnePlus 5, OnePlus 3T. Probably could, you know, we could do some comparisons there, but I don't have the OnePlus 3T. So anyways, with that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Of course, I know you guys are going to anyways. So anyways, thanks for watching. Again, coupon codes will be down in the description if you're interested in picking up the Mi 6. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.